Hi, welcome to a Talk About. Today I will be giving a list of the top 10 sold fiction books in history. Some of these titles may shock you, or maybe just give you a look at their large numbers. But here goes their placement in the highest sold fiction book countdown. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by English writer C.S. Lewis is the first book on this list, which sold over 85 million copies of the book throughout the years. First published in 1950 during the New Era after the war, it is set in the time during World War II, with the four children of the book having stumbled into the new world of Narnia through a wardrobe, and having to face a land ruled by an evil witch, also telling a second Christian story at the same time. Though the second volume of the Narnia series, it is a lot of the times referred to as the first, also being the most read. The author is known for meeting with Tolkien, another author on this list, at times to share their writings together. This book has continued to be read by both adults and children. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll has sold over 100 million copies, published in the year 1865 during the Victorian era of England, and the same year the American Civil War ended. The story tells of the girl Alice's adventures in another world she falls to, and the strange being she meets. Though having many bad reviews at the time, the book has fallen into the hearts of many readers. It has continued to be read widely, and sits as one of the most translated books in history. Dream of the Red Chamber by Xueqin is a Chinese book that has sold over 100 million copies and remains one of the most successful books ever. Published back in 1791 during the Qing dynasty while the French Revolution was happening in the West, and a new United States had also emerged. The famous classical composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart also died that same year. The author wrote it some years before in the mid-1700s, telling the story of the rise and fall of a family's power, with romance during it. Though a work of fiction, it is thought to have a lot of the Qing dynasty's history and some of the author's actual younger life within it. And Then There Were None by English author Agatha Christie is next on this list, selling over 100 million copies, the most sold mystery novel ever written. Published back in 1939 at the brink of World War II in Europe, this book captures the minds of readers with the puzzle of those being murdered and final plot reveal, keeping it widely sold to this day in different languages across the world. The Hobbit by the English writer J.R.R. Tolkien is next, having sold over 100 million copies worldwide. Published in the year 1937, right before World War II and the worldwide challenges of the coming years, creating this book the much-loved hobbits in the fantastic fantasy world of Middle-earth, and the journey that is undertaken with a bunch of dwarves that has stayed iconic until this day. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by the English writer J.K. Rowling has sold the high number of over 120 million for this first book alone, the series as a whole having sold much more. With magical creatures and humans, this story of young children going to school to learn magic has become well known in modern culture. Published in 1997, it has brought to life a narrative of mystery and danger. The Little Prince by the French author Antoine de Saint-Exupery takes the fourth spot at more than 142 million sold. This book was published in 1943 during World War II. The author fleeing to North America after having fought, escaping the capture of his country. This book about a downed pilot in the Sahara Desert and who he meets was written for both children and adults, its popularity becoming widespread and continues to be sold. The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien comes in third on this list at over 150 million copies sold. Published in 1954, originally as a single book, having been written during the years of World War II to a post-war public, it remains a staple of the fantasy genre. The author brings to life a fantasy world of England, continuing and expanding the world of the Hobbit with a ring that can only be destroyed by an epic secret journey to Mordor and the fires of Mount Doom to stop Sauron forever. Second on this list is A Tale of Two Cities by the English writer Charles Dickens, with a staggering 200 million sold over the past years. Published back in the year 1859, when technology was advancing and the world was becoming smaller. This book is placed back before and during the French Revolution that happened years before in the two cities, Paris and London. The book was released with a few chapters at a time during that year and became very popular. Sitting at the #1 spot is Don Quixote, a Spanish novel by Miguel de Cervantes, at over a whopping 500 million copies sold. Published all the way back in the year 1605 and 1615 in different parts, during a time of war, the New World, and exploring. The author having himself lived an interesting life, having been actually captured by barbarian pirates. It's a book about strange adventures that Don Quixote goes on, with his loyal sidekick Sancho Panza. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please go check out my other stuff, and subscribe for more. See you next time on A Talk About.